Welcome to the Scandalous podcast. Get your word. The voice and the lyrics behind the biggest hits and the saddest songs you've ever heard. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. We just had a little bit of eclipse fun. Did you guys see it out there in Pennsylvania?
We did. We saw, it was overcast. So we got a 4 second glimpse of it when it fully eclipsed it. But it was kind of hard to see. We didn't need glasses, so we were okay.
Sounds like it was brooding and moody. So it was a very emo eclipse. So haha. We love
Yeah, it
that,
was
don't
for the beginning of a cold tour.
we? There you go. And we are on the eve of your next tour out with Orgy. So everyone's going to get to hear all the songs that they love. But I want to know, what's your get ready for tour ritual?
Did we have any rituals, Lance? I don't really know if we have rituals.
How many black t-shirts do you need to pack to go on tour? That's like, is it 8? Is it 47, 35,
Honestly,
middle?
yeah, we're trying to keep it down because the problem with touring is you bring a lot of clothes and try to get prepared, and then with touring, when you have off time during the day and you're walking around a little bit, there's normally where bands play, there's always cool little shops around, so we'll end up accumulating all these other shirts and things, and then we need a new suitcase by the end of the tour to get stuff home. So I was trying to pack lighter this time, but basically just stage clothes is what I brought, and a few things. So I'm trying to play it.
Play it close to the chest. Are there any B-sides that you'll be breaking out that people haven't heard ever, or maybe at all before, that you're like, "Look what I got for you"?
B-sides?
Yeah, B-sides, like songs maybe you haven't played yet, or
Yeah,
you haven't played in a while.
we considered that. This tour's a little different because it's a co-headline with Orgy, so we both have a set amount of time to play the show, equal amounts of time. However, not really any B-sides on this, but we definitely are doing some old cuts off the first record. 13 Ways. Actually, we have songs from every record on this show, so I think it'd be a good mix of everything for fans.
Cool. There you go. Well, I thought it would be funny just to do something right off the bat. I'm really known for like really deep and emotional questions. I thought it'd be fun and rebellious to just go early on with that, and then we'll go into history. But I thought of a question and I was like, damn, that's a good question. I'm excited about it. So I just wanted to know, what song of yours do you think has saved the most lives of your fans?
Um,
I know it's deep, right? You have to sit back and think about it, breathe a little.
there's two really, and I don't know if Bleed's one of the ones that can really save a life. Help people deal with their stuff. I know Wasted Years, like for instance, when I'm doing handwritten lyrics for people, that's the most requested song. So, and off the last tour, when we played Wasted Years, we did it not acoustically, but just without the heavier amps, and we just played a broken down version of it, and the entire crowd was joining in, and it became an emotional moment for sure. So I would have to say, I think probably that song. I think that song relates to people because we've all, well, not all of us, but a majority of my band and our fans, I think, have battled addiction and things throughout their times, or, hard times, where it translates well to them.
Well, I think it's literally all of us, like not just addiction. When I go to a cold show, I just feel like I'm reduced to the small child that I was, that like when I first found your music, and I just feel like that little kid again, going into this like, sea of love. When I walk through the crowd, and it's just like,
it's definitely a good vibe, right? Like I know that, people come there to get in their feelings and stuff like that. And I think that creating a moment for the audience, and going there, I know, some people come there to feel like they're healing themselves for a few minutes. They've been, a lot of shit's been going on in their life. They need a cold show. That's what I hear a lot, that we need a cold show. And it's creating that moment where people can connect with you on that level, and just giving them that time. and I go there every night. Like there's a thing when Ross Robinson, when we did our first album, um, I remember I was singing Ugly. I was doing the song Ugly, which was a song that I wrote when I was young. And I was I was kind of just going over it and just doing the song as, we could do so many takes in the studio. And I remember Ross came into the booth and I said, yeah. And he goes, dude, he goes, okay, I get it. He goes, that's one of the reasons I played that song. And that's why he signed me, because I played it at Fred Durst's house one night for him. And he was like, I played half of it. He was like, stop, you're good, let's go. But when I was doing that song in the studio, I was just going through the motions on it. And he came in the booth and he goes, dude, he goes, for everything to translate well, and I've taken this advice throughout my entire career, every time you walk up to a mic, whether you're singing it in the studio, you're on stage, any moment you're playing the song for people, you need to transport yourself back to that moment when you wrote that song. See, I get transported just talking about it. And that's how it relates to people. And that's when people connect with you. And I think I've taken that advice throughout my entire career. And I know John from Korn and all those guys had the same advice given to them from him. And they do that as well. And that's why certain bands are able to have that moment on stage with people. And I don't think I can stop now. It's embedded in me. I was raised by it.
And the way that you just choked up there a little bit, that's kind of how I feel going into this interview. Your music really scares me a lot. And I have that kind of like typed out in an eloquent way, but I'll just say it again right now. Like, your music is so honest on like who I am on the inside that it really scares the fuck out of me a lot of times. And I avoid it a lot sometimes when I'm busy and I don't have time to feel those things. And there's many songs that you have that I really avoid because I can't fucking go there. And that's kind of like the vibe of like what I was feeling while you were talking. I was like, yep, I know that feeling. And it's really facing yourself in this terrifying kind of way. And it's so terrifying. We should be like more at ease and kind of peaceful a little bit. But,
it's probably the most honest place you can go with yourself, because it's raw, right?
Yeah.
If you can connect to the song like that, and if I can deliver it to you like that, then it's very powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we might really.
What's the song that saves you? What's the cold song that saves you?
Well, it's the one I blabber about. I just run up to you and I go, "Oh my God, I love Bleed. Oh my God, it was the one I was going to get tattooed on me." Yeah, just being very understood and all alone when I was younger. It was the song where I would just like lay down on my bedroom floor in the dark and cry and cry and cry. And, we'll just do it now. But it's kind of like, I'm Christian, I don't know any Bible verses by heart, but the lyrics to Blade, like, prisons of people not for me, I must remain intentful, my love is music, I married melody. So it's like lock and key. It's kind of like what I've done with my life. I do all these things in work to support my aspirations of, like being a journalist and a part of the rock and the metal industry. It's like this pact that I've made, for better or for worse. My love is music, I married melody. And my thoughts are strange, and that goes to, I've never self-harmed or anything like that, but just kind of like looking at yourself with how deep and how dark your thoughts can actually get sometimes. When you surprise yourself is when you're saying like, and my thoughts are strange, it's going like, oh shit, like when you scare yourself, kind of.
No, I tell you.
Like, prisons of people not for me, I must remain intentful.
My love is music, I'll marry melody.
Yeah, my love is music. Yeah, so it's kind of like we are who we are, and we're the deep feeling people, and then there's other people who really don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
and who don't see it at all.
Yep.
So it's like, this is us, this is who we are. And then there's these whole other group of other people that don't get it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's with any music, right? Or art. So some people are going to gravitate towards it and others won't.
Yeah.
However, you just focus on the people that, get it.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
I mean, it's worldwide, right? It's everywhere. Like there's people like, all over the world that can connect with music and song, and it just impacts them like that. The funny thing about those songs, like for instance, Bleed or Ugly, I mean, I started writing those songs when I was probably 17, 18 years old. I think they fully developed around the time I was 20, but just, looking back, I laugh at it sometimes because I'm just like, what the hell? I was a dark ass little kid, going there with the songs. And I think it's important, and I tell songwriters this all the time, or any artist really, it's like what you kind of don't want to, what you think is too dangerous to write down or put on paper or sing or draw or, whatever you're doing, painting. Those are the things you need to put down, because that's real shit. You're scared to say it out loud, but then that's the things that's how people are able to connect with you, because you said it. They're like, oh God, yeah, that's what I'm feeling. Except I never said it, but he just said it for me, So it's a thing, going and writing. It's definitely, I go into a place where, I need to be alone just by myself and in my thoughts for long periods of time, sometimes, to where I detach myself from society to, create songs and music. And, I know my family has to go through me watching me do that, because I take myself to a dark place. So it's funny. It's like the lights go out and I write a record, and then I come back, and then I'm okay again. Everything's all right. But it's a transporting thing that you have to put yourself in. And I think all artists should do that. If they don't, then they're probably, not connecting with people. We just try to be honest with what we write. And I think that's what you should do as an artist, instead of just going through the motions to put up a song that is just fluff. I never tried to do that on a record. Like a lot of artists will be, or not a lot, but I've heard people, they do the 3 songs that they think are going to be hits or whatever like that. And then everything else is just added pro. And I'm just like, I don't think I can do that. I want every song to matter. It's very important to every, the music, the notes, all the things, the words, everything needs to hit a certain mark to give you those chills. So I spend a lot of time on that.
So on to lighter things. We'll do a little bit of history. You were born in 1970. What was your favorite cartoon growing up?
Good God.
I know, right? And a lot of funny, like, ooh.
I don't know if there's really cartoons. I always like Land of the Lost and stuff like that. Like I did that kind of thing. Probably nobody knows that except for us old people, or us over a century. But yeah, I don't know if really Scooby-Doo was always awesome. I like that. Liked anything with a little spooky stuff in it.
What was your favorite cereal growing up?
I think I rotated cereals. Frosted Flakes is still my go-to cereal, so I'm easy. Yeah.
Easy. Wow. For sure. So where are you from originally, and what kind of kid were you growing up?
What was the second part of that question?
Oh, where are you from originally, and what kind of kid were you growing up?
I'm from Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And I don't know, I was quiet. I was a really quiet kid. I used to my mom said every time we had family things, I would hide under the tables and things like that. And I didn't talk a lot to people, and I was very shy. I'm still shy. However, I become acclimated to when we go on tour. Like when we're out tour, I'm a recluse. I don't go out. I don't do things much. So me and my wife would go to concerts sometimes, like with Benner or Bizkit. comes in town and asks us to show up, we'll go see them and hang out for a little bit. But other than that, we're very private people. And then when I go on tour, I had to get acclimated to being in front of people and talking and just giving yourself, because I feel like that's the other thing the artist needs to do. Like, not only are you going out to play your songs, but you need to, these people have been waiting to see you for months. Like, give them everything, just be a part of that night for them and make it cooler than it could have been, instead of just going on stage, playing your show and disappearing. Like, I feel over the years that, Cold Army is family at this point. Like, when we look out in the crowd, we know most of the people there. At least, in the first 10th rows, I would say, we know most of the people's names, and they're just, it's like a big family reunion every tour. So, and it just keeps growing, and it's amazing. It's one of the things I'm most thankful for.
And you talking about that specifically, I've been at shows where I've like fought and I've gotten up front and center because I wanted to. And the band member I'm in front of is just like, you can see on their face, they're like PlayStation, Game Boy, catering, sleep. Yeah. And like, it's nothing. And like, the last thing they're thinking about is the song playing. So that really is a thing. And that's nice that you still care and still hold that dear to you, that's a real thing that you have to deliver as an artist up on stage.
It's the only important thing, the most important thing. And I the members that we have now in Cold, I know that they know how important it is to me, and I feel that they get into it as much. They give all they can for that moment to create and to make those people feel. They see it, and then they deliver it as well. So it's everybody together now, and that's a really strong and powerful thing when everybody's in tune in one thing, and then the crowd is in tune with us as well. It's beautiful.
So the shy kid underneath the table from the family functions, being shy, to the guy up on stage, I'm curious as to how you began on this journey of expression and later deeper expression, becoming a lyricist and a songwriter. So what happened in between?
Well, I used to play bass in a band. I think it was called Six Gun. Me and Sam were in a band, our former drummer. And we were in a band called Six Gun, and we were rehearsal one night and the singer didn't show up. And I was a big TSOL fan, and we did a TSOL song in our band. And I was like, I'd always sing it when I was at home by myself. And however, I was always too scared to be up on a mic. So I was just a bass dude, a backer, a guitarist. Like, I'd switched off from guitar and bass. And then when he didn't show up that night, I go, I can just cue you guys in on this. And I started singing. And I think when I stopped, everybody was like, dude, you sound just like that. You should maybe sing for us, right? And so that's when I became the singer for the band. And then I had to play shows. So I remember we played this place called Einstein's a Go-Go on Jack's Beach, which like Nirvana, all kinds of cool little sub-pop bands used to play there, little indie bands. But it was a cool little place. And I got up on stage and I did the Jim Morrison thing. And I totally turned my back to the crowd the entire show and sang because I was too scared to look at. And I never turned around like he did in the movie, right? So we just did that, and everything's always dark. And to this day, and you come to Cold shows, we still have a dark setting on stage because of that shyness and that me not wanting to be in the spotlight. I just want everybody to feel the music more than anything else. And I know that's part of it, being a rock star and being a musician, having everybody see you. You can see me enough. I want the feeling to be there more than the appearance of things. But yeah, that's when I started singing back then, and it just became easier and easier. And then I got to a point where I needed alcohol to get on stage, because just to express, like, I was having these moments where people were telling me that the lyrics were changing their lives and all these things. So I felt obligated to bring them there every time. But for me to bring them there, I had to go to that place. And going there night after night is a really hard thing to do because you're just bringing up those emotions over and over to yourself every night. So I think drugs and alcohol, kind of numb that a little bit. But everything's better now, so it's good. And I'm able to deliver it the same way I always was. I was just always scared to get up on stage without it. But it's not to, and you feel way better when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah, it's a huge responsibility, and I always talk to artists about if they feel like they have to exploit themselves, and exploit their own emotions and themselves and their heart to get to the place they have to do their job properly, because that seems like it's a little part of it.
It is. It's the part of it. All right.
But it's great, and we thank you for it. we're so glad that you do.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what it is. I think I'm so used to doing that I can't do anything else but that. It goes back to the Ross thing at the beginning. You got to give it all if I can get it back.
Yeah, I heard you talking about him in another interview, and they were trying to get something out of you on it. You're like, he has his ways, and I'm not a rat. I respect you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody should say anything about certain, producers have their way of getting things out of you, and it's cool, and that's great. And it was nothing bad. It was just, a different mindset, different vibes with things. So, yeah, man, go on that journey with any producer that you're with. You take that journey to make an album, and the way if you go all in on it, you should have something very beautiful at the end of that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's how I feel with writing my interviews. I put my whole heart into it. We're going. It's gonna be great. Yeah. So
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good way to do it.
Tell me about this interview. Yes, I told you. So, what were the first lyrics that you ever wrote that you were like, "This is good. I like this. I did good. I can do this"?
I feel like it was back when I was young. I probably about 10 or 11 years old. I would always write these grandiose stories about I would do things about Alice in Wonderland. We were in a band called Mad Hatter. And this is when I was just sitting at home writing stuff and recording by myself. But yeah, I would just write these cool stories, and every time I'd play for somebody, people would it would invoke some type of emotion from them. And then I noticed the sad songs, the sad things I wrote always trigger people a little more, because that's what I liked. I was I liked the soap opera piano things when I was young. I'd listen to them and go, "Oh my God, if that just had lyrics to it, it'd be tragic." And so those things, I think I wrote a song when I was 12. It was called "I'm Sorry for My Suicide," and ridiculous.
Did you share it with your mom?
I didn't, but I shared it with my friends because I would record it on little
recorder,
small tape player, yeah, and I would do that, and everybody was like, "Damn, this song's crazy." And then I wrote a song about a guy going away to the army and not coming back, things like that. And those are all before I was probably 13 or 14 years old, but I knew those songs connected with people, and I think that just carried over into Grundig and Cold and all the things.
You were the Edgar Allan Poe of your playground, basically.
Yeah, well,
of the neighborhood.
That was before I was even singing. I was just playing in bands. I was trying to write songs, but I was always scared to give my songs to people. So later on, when that TSOL thing happened that I was talking about, I had a pretty good book of songs and lyrics and things to play off of, to add to new music. So that helped.
Well, it's funny, question real quick. Does that darkness translate? Do you true crime with the rest of us?
My wife does. She gets into the murder mystery things. I feel I don't have, I don't know. I don't really get into those. I like comedies. I like stupid comedies, like mockumentaries and things like that. Um, Lens is a big fan of the thing, right, Lens? She likes the murder mystery stuff. Um, yeah, so I don't know. And it changes throughout my life too. What I like.
Yeah.
Back in the day, a horror movie and you know, those kind of things. So it rotates. But right now I need a little levity, a little humor in my life sometimes. So I try to find those things.
So, what was the name of your band back in Jacksonville?
Um
Going to Grundig. How do you spell it? So I can
yeah,
look it up later.
Grundig. And it was literally there was a stereo company in Germany called Grundig, Grundig with the two dots above. And they were called Grundig. So when we got signed on Flip Records, we were Grundig. Like, because we were just from Jacksonville, we came out to make the record, and we were, we had recorded the record with Ross, and then me and Ross went to New York City with, I think Howie Weinberg to master it. And we were in the mastering room, and my lawyer called, and I think Wes Boreland, Wes showed up before or after, but he was there when this happened. And so my lawyer called, and he was like, Scoop, man. He goes, dude, so we got a message. I got an email from Grundig, and they basically won't allow you to use the rights to that name, even though you don't have the dots on it. And it's more of a grunge thing. We get it, but you can't use it. And if you do, they want basically $250,000 to use it for licensing rights. And we were like, dude, we just got like a chunk of money for the first time in our lives. We got to give all our money to keep the name Grundig. And then he goes, well, you come up with another name. And then Wes Boreland goes, why don't you name the band Cold? And I go, that's pretty amazing. I go, that kind of fits the whole vibe of, the darkness of the band, the moodiness of the band. And he's hilarious though. Wes was like, oh no, it's because you're from Jacksonville. Get it? It's funny, right? It's hot, right? So I go, oh, whatever, Wes. I go, that fits. So it worked. And as we're saying that, our lawyer's still on speakerphone, and he's like, oh, dude, there's no way nobody has that name. Like, you could pick a little harder name, right? And then he goes, but I'll check. He hit us back about an hour later. He goes, guess what? He goes, you're good. He goes, we got it. So I was like, well, there you go. So that worked out. Thanks, Wes.
That's so funny. I had no idea that Wes named you guys, basically.
Yeah, and I don't even know if Wes remembers that. It was such a small little blip, but maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But yeah, he's the reason that the band's named Cold.
That's funny. Well, I kind of brings up an era I want to talk about before we kind of go into your catalog. I think it recorded you and John talking, so hopefully we can include that. But I'm from Dallas. I remember my Dallas music scene, but there's this whole thing happening in Jacksonville that I know nothing about. Limp Bizkit, you guys, I think another band, but like, what was y'all scene like? And you guys were just all best friends, and Fred kind of got the come up, and he did not leave you guys behind, basically, right?
No, he didn't. It was basically there was no scene in Jackson. I mean, minus the 38 Special Leonard Skinner days from way before, 20 years before that, there was no scene in Jacksonville. However, Grundig and a band called Spider Monkey, they were from down there on St. Augustine. We used to play these, we started playing like parties, and back in the, in the 90s, it just in late 80s, there were these giant, I'm talking about 500, 600 people. It was ridiculous. And then we played a place called the Fish Camp. And then we just kind of built a name for ourselves and kept growing in that. And then we played bars sometimes when we could get in, because we were underage. But, it was such a lax time back then in society that they would just let us play. And then they would let us drink there and shit. It was ridiculous. And then we met Wes because he was in a band with his brother called Kronk. And they used to play certain shows with us, and then we started letting them open up all the time for us, because they were so badass and they were young. And so we would play all kinds of places. I think we played what Wes's father had a church where they'd put on a show one time, but we would play all kinds of places. And that's kind of how that connected with Wes. You know, with John and Sam, they, had been to Grundig shows before, and it just kind of happened. So I think when Fred hooked up with them, they were all Grundig fans. So of course, he heard it, and then he fell in love with it. And it just kind of, carried over. When Limp Bizkit got signed, I think the Korn guys got them hooked up, and Fred was like, I remember he called, and I was about to quit music. I think I was 26, 27 at the time, and I was about to go to turf school to be just a golf course groundskeeper. Like the day before I was supposed to go to Palatka to that school, Fred had called up and he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "Dude, you still writing those sad songs?" I go, "Well, not yet." I said, "Honestly, man, I'm about to go to school, to be a golf course superintendent." And he goes, "Well, man, I got Ross Robinson." He goes, I go, "Yeah, the corn guy." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, he's at my house right now." He goes, "Dude, why don't you come over tonight and play a couple songs?" He goes, "I think he's going to sign you." And I go, "No, whatever." And I've heard things from Grundig so many times from so many people. But I had a few drinks and I went over there. I think I had a cowboy hat on. I was so scared to go over there. And I just had my guitar with me, just an acoustic. And I played Ugly and I think Bleed. And that was it. Ross heard those two songs. He goes, "Dude, he goes, right after Bizkit, I want to record this record. Like, you got to come out to LA." And it just all magically happened overnight. However, we had worked for 15 years for that overnight moment to happen, So it was cool. It was awesome. But yeah, it happened fast and sure. I don't think I've donned a cowboy hat since those days.
There you go. It's a great pop-up video fun fact. I like that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
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 Well, talking about the deep, the dark, and then you liking comedy and maybe a little bit of levity every now and then, that kind of brings us to your single from the last record, Shine. It's about the light at the end of the tunnel, I think. Right?
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's inspiring that you can bring us to the darkest steps, and then you're like, "Hey guys, but you didn't leave us there." Like, "Hey, it's better too."
Well, I feel like there's been a few cold songs like that where, especially on Different Kind of Pain, where there is these tragic endings during the song. But I always try to lift it with the music or the lyric at the end to where there's some kind of, light emitting from it and hope being put forward to where, it matters, man. And it can help you get through shit, So, yeah, with Shine, it was crazy. My kids were transferring schools, both in different states at different times, and they were both kind of getting, I don't know, like bullied, but it was definitely a hard time for them. So that was happening, and then our photographer friend in Temecula, where I was staying at the time, her daughter was going through it too, and she was telling me the story. And we had the music for Shine, and I was like, "This fucking song about?" And then I was riding in my car, and then it just clicked, and then it just hit me. I usually take drives after creating the music to kind of, I always let, the universe tell me what the song's about. And yeah, it just all connected. Like after our photographer friend mentioned about her child being bullied and the fact that both my daughters were in that same situation just before all of that, just made sense. And then, as a parent, you just want to see your kids do well and be safe, So that's where I want to see you shine. I want to see you go for the win. Seeing them in that place is hard.
So what was the first song that really broke Cole? Was it Stupid Girl, or was I late to the game?
I mean, I feel like Stupid Girl was a song that like really broke Cold as far as us being able to go on like Tonight shows and things like that. However, No One and Just Got Wicked started the whole thing, really. I mean, at the 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage record, just that kind of set Year of the Spider up, so I think that those songs were more important for the setup of that. Yeah.
Music videos used to be the biggest thing in the world. And I love the music video for Stupid Girl. Do you remember that shoot day of just the
I do.
craziness that was going on?
We wanted it to be, I remember Mark Webb was directing that. And when we were talking about doing the song, of course, the name of the band was Cold. So he goes, dude, what if we did it a place where it needs to be so cold to where we can see your breath as you're singing the song and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So he found a place in Minnesota, a high school, basically, that had let us, shoot the video there. And it was so freaking cold that day. I remember all the fans had come too, because we had had success with 13 Ways. So we had a pretty good amount of people that showed up for this video shoot. And it was just freezing. And we had heaters all over everywhere, and they just didn't help at all. So it was a long day from, I think, like 7 a.m. till about 10 at night. And it was just constantly freezing. We kept bringing people inside the school for a little bit to get warm and go back out. But at the end of it all, and looking in hindsight, it was actually awesome, but being in that moment, you were like, Jesus Christ, what am I doing? I'll never do this again.
Yeah. I remember that music video being just the coolest time capsule of what the music was like and what the kids were like. And, I think I was in middle school at that time. So it's just like me and my skater friend kids, it was such a good, it really captured that time. Oh, wow. If you go back, it's like, I
remember the dope. I think the good moment for the band during that was when the giant backdrop with the spider drops off the end of the school. I don't think we'd ever had anything that big created for us before, so we were like, all right, we made it. We got a giant fucking coming off of school in the middle of Minnesota. This is awesome. Right. So, and a lot of people there. So it was cool.
I love that. So I'll talk about a few more songs, and then we'll go through discography a little bit, and then we'll get out of here. But two of my favorite songs, I kind of talked on it a little bit earlier, so I hope I don't repeat myself on anything, but I think Gone Away is one of the scariest songs for me, and the opening music, it rushes over you. And to me, it's like it's like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. Oh God, oh God, oh God. I know I can't shove my feelings down anymore. And whatever's there is about to come up rushing all over me. And it's cathartic and it's necessary. And it's scary to listen to, just knowing that you're about to face what you've been trying to not face.
Yeah, I mean, the video, is about me not being able to be there for my daughter, basically, because of the life I had chosen and playing music. Not being able to be there for specific moments or just the little things, when she gets scared at night, all those kind of things. So it really bruised me and it hurt. And I know she was affected deeply by it as well. So writing that song, even though I felt it was cathartic at the time, it still resonates and hurts in a not so great way, I think, with me or my daughter. But people really attach to that song, and there are specific things that they had with their family members or just being away, military people. It connected with all kinds of things, where you're just unable to be there for someone. And I think that's where that song really connected. But yeah, it's hard. That's a hard one to revisit when I got to play that song, but people love that song, so we do it. Got to go there.
Well, apologies and thank you.
It's okay.
So it's like I'm just looking at you on purpose for this interview. It's
I
like
mean, you gotta,
just jabbing you in the side.
yeah, all cult songs are that though, right?
Yeah.
Minus, yeah, there's one that's not, but every other one is, so it's okay. What I'm
Yeah.
here for.
Thanks. Yeah. What a guy. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one other sad song, happens all the time. I feel like I forget about until something happens to me. And then it's like you're driving and then you're just like so in disbelief that it happened again. Is that kind of where that song came from for you? Did you have the same experience of it happen again? And I don't know if that's a stupid way to say it. I'm unsure.
You know, I'll say this, that song, I think, with certain songs that I've written, they, over the years, they mean something at different times in my life, right? And I'm not even certain, as I know that was during a different kind of pain record when it was a lot of bad things going on with my sister's health and stuff like that. And that was a very personal record for me. However, happens all the time, was maybe one of the lighter songs on that record because I needed to have a lighter song on that record. But certain songs when the artist created, I think they change over time, what they mean to you and what they mean to people. I think people have a different outlook on them. I know a lot of people when they first heard that record were like, I don't know about this record. It's different than the first two, but then, years later, that's one of their favorite albums now because they finally, I go, if you're not hearing the Cold record, then you don't need the Cold record, right? But then once you need it, it's there for you. And then when you connect on it like that, then it's over. It's all good.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was like an artist talking, me saying this, but it's sometimes you finish a song and then you grow up and you just have life happen. And then you hear it again, and then you really like something happened to you and you really understand what that song is all about. And it's kind of a gift, but it's also like, well, I'm sorry, because that means that like you went through something. So
Yeah, but that's okay. Got a song for it. So it's somebody else connecting.
and that's what cold is for. So I like to do this little thing with bands, people I talk to. I like to go through your discography, and everyone has an album that means the most to them. So I just want to kind of list off every album. We'll end it here, but I'll just list off every single one, and you tell me like, okay, well, the band, we're trying to figure this out, or in my life at this point, I felt like,
Go ahead and let's see what happens.
okay, cool, self-titled, first album out. It's your first debut. So how did you feel? What was going on in your life at that time? And what did that record mean to you?
Um, I mean, we were just excited. It was a moment, and all the songs that we had, worked on with Grundig for 10 years had kind of, established that album. I know right before that record was made, we had really gone in and, Grundig had kind of departed. Like I said, I was going to turf school. So then getting back in there, and me and Sam had gotten in a band called Diablos. And most of those songs come from that band. And so it was just exciting. We got Jeremy and everybody back in the band. It was something new, and we were all pumped because we never thought we were, in LA making a record and going on tour. So it was a new beginning.
New, fun, and fresh. Got it.
Yeah.
So 13 Ways to Bleed on stage.
13 Ways was a little darker. It was where, we had been touring for years and a couple of years, and we never wanted to be home again. We just wanted to be gypsies out on the road playing music, and there were, a lot of parties going on and a lot of things, and I think that kind of just created this really dark vibe for that album. It's still exciting, and we were still happy, and as far as being able to continue. So that's about where 13 Ways was, except we knew that we were definitely taking a darker turn musically, as well. So it was cool though. We always liked that stuff.
And the spider.
You know, the Spider was, we got to work with Howard Benson. We did it in LA. Um, it was, that was the thing where we had good success with 13 Ways to Split on stage. So then we were like, all right, we really need to connect with people and be, you know, I think that's the record where my songs, the context of the songs started being more personal, and you could connect, the storytelling became better. Um, so I started focusing on more of writing the dialogue to really connect with people. And I had the people from 13 Ways to Bleed on stage in the first album tell me how much the records and the lyrics had meant to them. So I had a responsibility at that point to really do something, to bring people in and connect with them on a even more of a bigger level.
Well, I just love that you're one of the artists that touches me the most, and I'm glad you know that because I feel like I start doing interviews just to be able to come on and be like, "Hey, Norm, thanks." So it seems like you really take in the gravity of all the emotions that people give to you, and
100%. I've been thought about fans. Like it's a big deal when they share stories with me. Sometimes they might end up on a cold record, but that's just the way it is. That's my life. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm in. So it's a part of me. They're a part of me.
and it's a different kind of pain.
Different kind of pain. That's when we went. My sister had gotten really bad, and I wasn't sure if she was going to live, and so she was going through this, and we had already set the record up to be recorded. So that was probably the first time where I was like, I might have a family member not be here anymore that I love more than anything in this world. And I got to write a record at the same time and record it. So I just tried to find hope. I tried to find my own little way out of that moment with that record. And again, I think I went even harder in the connecting with people on lyrics. It was one of the most emotional records for me, and definitely the most personal record still to this day that I've ever written. So it's my favorite record.
And Superfiction.
Superfiction is the antithesis of all the other records. That was where I didn't want to go deep like that anymore. I wanted to go back to when I was younger and just wrote these grandiose stories, and I wanted to have fun making an album, and just So Long June, all the things. It was just these fantastical stories that I was able to write. It was easy. I worked with people that I love. Jado, rest in peace. It was just a nice way to make a record, and it was fast. It didn't seem like it took as long as the other ones, or I didn't worry as much about affecting everyone. And I still knew there would be songs on there that had their moments and would affect people, and that was in there, but it wasn't the top priority for me while creating that record.
You just want to keep all the vital parts in your body to that record, basically.
Yeah, there's another part about that record is that, I feel like all the Cold records in our catalog, when they're all put together, everything's a little different. You get a little different vibe from everything instead of having the same record being repetitive over and over again. So that was another big reason why I wanted to change that up a little bit with that, because at the end of my life, I want to have a catalog of music that shows what I was going through personally as an artist. And I think so far I've been able to nail that every time,
See. And the things we can't stop.
Things we can't stop.
Like life.
Yeah, and not for nothing, it was cold. Like, we've been through a lot of shit, and we had, people, beautiful people that had to leave because they needed to do what they needed to do with their lives. And so I got more beautiful people to come out and be with us. And, it was in a way, you know, you can't stop. We can't stop doing Cold. We can't stop doing what we like. And every song on there, the title for them and the content of those songs, um, are just things that you can't stop from happening. You know, bullying, war, things like that. No matter what you do, it's inevitable. It's not going to stop. These are things that will last till the end of time and keep continuing to be. So,
And real quick, I didn't write a question for it, but I do want to talk on a little bit of all the collabs you've done. Like you collabs with Ben, Breaking Ben. It's a new friend of mine. You worked with Aaron Morris, obviously. What are like some of those experiences like for you? Because you're a very deep feeling person. You must have, you know, feelings.
like
Do you have feelings about it?
well, I mean, Aaron came in when we were doing Bleed because me and him and Shred used to always sit around in the back. We always toured together, so he'd always heard me do that song. And Bleed wasn't even going to be on 13 Ways to Bleed on stage because I was the guy that was like, no, you can't hear that. No, it's my private song. There was a couple of like Check Please Bleed, songs like that. I never really thought they should be on a heavier record and stuff like that. So, and even Ugly on the first record, but Ross made me do it and it became what it was. But then when we had Aaron come out to Seattle because he was playing with Foo Fighters and No Doubt at some festival thing close by, and I just found out he was there. So I'd had him come out to do the Scream on Sending the Clowns in the bridge. That was his main purpose, to be at that studio. And as he was there doing that, he goes, hey man, what about Bleed? You gonna do that song? You ever gonna record this? He goes, why don't you just record it now? And I go, why not? Got you here. Let's see if we can, you know, do it together and see what it sounds like. And of course it sounded dope. So we kept it. And that's how that came about. You know, Fred's been on some songs with us where he's like go away, and Fred was on a lot of B-sides because this was us being back in Jacksonville. And then when the Ben thing happened, Ben had called me. He had already finished that record, the Aurora record. It was done. It was complete. And I think they even had a release date. But then there was one song and they were basically all older Breaking Benjamin songs, just revisited and envisioned with artists on them. And he found out we were rehearsing up by, in Pennsylvania, where we are close to now. They were playing a show, and we came out and did, he goes, dude, you guys are right up the mountain from us. Why don't you come down and bring Cold and play Just Got Wicked? And I was like, who does that? Like, I've never seen a band in the middle of their show take a break and bring out an entirely different band. And we had been away for a long time, so it was scary. And we just came out during his set and got up, and he was on stage and played Just Got Wicked with us. Sean, their drummer, jumped in, and he was the drummer for that one. And it was I think, wasn't his birthday, Lindsay, or something like that? It was his birthday. He had no practice on it. We ran through sound check one time, and we just got up there and played it. But that sparked Ben calling me a couple days later, and he's like, dude, so glad we reconnected and all this stuff. He goes, man, I got this song. And he goes, I know I already have this record done and it's supposed to come out. He goes, but I'm going to push it back if you tell me that you will do the song with me. He goes, it's important. And he goes, I know how you are. I know it's got to be a certain emotional thing for you to, he goes, so just check it out. And if you like it, I'll see what we can do and let's make this happen. So when he sent me the song, I listened to the first verse. I got to the chorus, and I just was like, click. I go, dude, that's all I need to hear. Like, I'm in it. Let's go. It was beautiful. So it was really cool that he brought me in for that. And I think it became the first single off that record. Yeah, so it was cool. It was awesome.
That's awesome. So do you have any lyrics floating around your head right now that are going to be a new Cold song, maybe say?
I mean, I have a bunch in my notes, but nothing's floating around. But yeah, we are hoping to make a new album later on this year, and we're gonna go a little heavier on this one. I think I've done my thing where I've done the slower songs and the, more melancholy type moment in my life. And I think doing the Year of the Spider tour last year kind of sparked a new feeling in me to bring back some even older sounds. So I think we're going back to the origins of Cold sound with this new album. So it's going to be fun, and that's exciting.
Yeah. Well, huge metalhead here, so I cannot wait for that. That's super exciting. Anything else you want you to say to fans besides the big tour coming up?
I love them all very much, and I'm very excited, and I'm already thankful. I know a lot of shows are starting to sell out already, so I can't thank our fans enough for being with me all these years and being a part of us and being family to me. I just love them, and I can't wait to see everybody.